I've been a consistent Eurosceptic on my YouTube channel for years now. I have constantly pointed out that the reason that I don't like the European Union is that all of the legislation that comes from it seems to be don't do this, don't do that, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. Let's look more into your private life, give us more access, pay more taxes. That is like what the EU constantly is doing. And it's getting worse and worse, especially with the new Article 11 and Article 13. Now, what these articles do is that they remake what copyright means. Basically, they remove the idea of fair use. Pretty much every single video on my channel wouldn't be able to exist, because even this video where I'm just reading you snippets from a news article, I would be violating the copyright claim. And they don't do just that, they do even more. If a person has their copyright claim violated, then they don't have to sue the actual YouTube user. They can sue the platform itself. They can go directly against YouTube. And because of this, YouTube have said that if this law passes, they will just stop allowing people from the European Union to upload videos. Because they can't, even with AI, they can't make sure that every single person doesn't upload something that is already made, basically. Like only original content would be uploaded on YouTube under this new law. If someone made something, even if it's in the public domain, you'd still get flagged. You'd still get a copyright strike. So apparently, what's really annoying about all of this, right? Because the EU is basically destroying the internet in the European Union at this point, is that people who voted don't even know what they voted on. Like, imagine this. Why do people like the European Union is beyond me. Thunderfoot, what is wrong with you? Yeah, you know, like, even if it makes it so that your economy goes down for a while, it's still worth it. There is absolutely no reason why this is a thing that's happening. The people who vote legislation in your country, number one, aren't British. Number two, they're not even elected by the British people. And finally, they make legislation that affects you personally. You're a YouTuber. You wouldn't be able to have your channel if the EU would have passed this in the past. So let's read the article and see what they're actually having to say. So YouTube says the new EU copyright rules could force it to ban people from uploading their own videos. It says that the new directive puts its entire creative community at risk, and that the new rules could drastically change the internet that you see today. The comments from YouTube boss Susan Wojcicki are just one part of widespread outrage about these new rules, which campaigners have referred to as the memes ban. And this is not just going to be YouTube, by the way. This is going to be all social media, I bet. Because it doesn't target YouTube videos. It targets any form of thing you publish online. One of the most controversial parts of the EU's new copyright directive, known as Article 13, will force major platforms like YouTube to scan through everything uploaded to them and ensure that nothing in it includes copyrighted content. Campaigners argue that could force companies to ban memes that use pictures or GIFs from existing media, and that it could damage the way that social networks operate. It is impossible to do it. You know, you can have an AI that looks for potty mouth words, or, you know, like scans for certain keywords in order to make sure that your video is community approved, right? You don't get a community strike for it. But to make sure that every single image, every single thing that is copyrighted doesn't exist in your video, no. And not to mention, like, think about this. Think about if I post a meme that I made it, and then some newspaper also finds that meme and they unlawfully copyright it, and they will claim that they're the first who made it, and then they sue YouTube over it. YouTube is going to be stuck in a lawsuit that, even though they're right and they're going to win eventually, it's just, you know, like wasted human resources, lawyers that have to go there, wasted money until they manage to win the lawsuit and get it back. Yeah, YouTube doesn't want this hassle, and I can understand why. Opposition to the rules has united copyright campaigners and the major internet platforms, which have argued that it could undermine the very way the internet works. Now, YouTube has spoken out in perhaps the most passionate comment from the tech industry yet. The company said that YouTube could be forced to stop allowing normal users to upload videos instead of concentrating them in the hands of a small number of big companies. Viewers in the EU could be blocked from viewing some videos and small creators could be ruined. So even if you're in America and you're a YouTuber, like let's say Jim, right? Like Jim constantly, Mr. America, he makes fun of Europeans, and he's right to make fun of Europeans, right? Like if I was an American, I would make fun as well. But this affects him as well because when he gets on live stream and he gets those super chats, if people can't view his videos, a lot of his market is going to go down. He's going to lose a lot of views. He's going to lose a lot of subscribers. So even if you're in America, this still affects you. And what you can do is you can raise awareness about it. You can tweet about it. You can show an outrage. That's, the only thing you can do. I don't know if it's going to work, but it's still better than nothing, I guess. There is no accountability for the European Union. Like I on my channel have constantly talked about this. It's not something that's new for me. I'm doing my best for other people to see it the same way I do. Now, with the fact that YouTube is going to stop allowing users to upload videos, it's probably not going to piss a lot of people off. Most people who watch YouTube, they do it as a consumer, not as a producer. So I don't think this is even going to cause a lot of upset people in the European Union. But what it's going to cause is definitely going to prevent people relying on the alternative media, people who rely on sending the message outside of the established journalistic outlets. Parties like UKIP, for example, they're going to be affected by this. Because they're not going to be able to upload videos, and people aren't going to be able to share and mirror them. And as I said before, it's going to affect almost all social media, and it's probably going to affect the alternative social media, like BitChute, for example. BitChute is still growing right now, and they're going to lose probably half of the people using it. Because if they don't, they might also get sued. So, the Europeans will basically be unable to produce content. And according to YouTube, possibly look at YouTube videos that are from outside, because those would also violate copyright laws. So, yeah, it's a big issue. And I don't think YouTube has done enough, honestly. Like, if I was YouTube, I would just talk to Google, the parent company, to shut down the entire internet for the European Union for 2 days. They would lose a lot of money, but I think in the long run, it's going to be beneficial. And when someone from the EU would try to log on Google, when they would try to log on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, other platforms they happen to own, you would see like a message, Article 11 and Article 13 plans to shut down the internet. This is how the internet is going to look like from now on if the European Union votes on these. And I guarantee to you, a lot of people will get pissed off. A lot of people would, start protesting. And I'll actually talk to the people that I know who, are from UKIP, people who organize these types of things, that maybe a protest in front of Brussels might be needed. Who knows? But we need to think of something, because otherwise, it's not going to be good. Ms. Ojiki said that Article 13 threatens to shut down the ability of millions of people, from creators like you to everyday users, to upload content to a place like YouTube. It threatens to block users in the EU from viewing content that is already live on the channels of creators everywhere. And it's also going to threaten hundreds of thousands of jobs. The proposal could force platforms like YouTube to allow only content from a small number of large companies. It would be too risky for platforms to host content from small original content creators, because the platforms would now be directly liable for that content. And we also talk about the controversial one, that is the link tax. So initially I spoke that the way to survive Article 11 and Article 13 would be to Styx and Hammer it. Like Styx makes videos where he just turns on the camera, talks about the subject, doesn't show anything on screen, zero editing. And those would be, I guess, YouTube friendly. But if YouTube plans to shut down videos for the entire site, then that is really bad. Now people say, well, you can use VPNs. Yeah, but you don't understand. There are trolls out there, like people who hate your channel, people who really want to see you fall, and they probably know that you're using a VPN, so they're going to message YouTube. They're going to make sure that YouTube knows that you're doing it. So the only solution for me, at least, would be to go to Moldavia, which is a nation neighboring Romania, and I'll be outside the European Union. I'm going to pay taxes there. It's probably like cheaper to live there as well. And that's going to be the solution that I can come up with, because there's no other way, I'll be able to make this. And I started enjoying being an entertainer. I started enjoying, making other people like you guys happy, making you smile, and giving you the news every day. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how this plays out. I understand there's like one more vote that is required for this legislation to pass, and maybe that's going to be stopped, hopefully. But with the European Union, if that is stopped, then the law is going to go back. They're going to make some amendments, and then they're going to try to vote on it again. And it's going to be never ending until eventually it passes. I'm unaware if many legislations in the EU were outright rejected. Once the European Council, which is not even elected, by the way, pushes for the legislation, it almost always gets passed. This is like, this is why I brought Thunderfoot in the conversation before. He thinks democracy is just put it up to the vote again and again until it goes my way. That's not how democracy works. Fucking idiot.